And we are live. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to A Bookish Moment. I'm Sarah Burr.
And I am J.C. Kenney, and happy Wine Wednesday to everybody. Bring you a special Wednesday episode, and it fits perfectly because our special guest is has a little bit of a French background, and we all know French wine is the best wine, at least when we don't count the wine that's on sale. Enough of my babbling, Sarah. I think it's time to get bookish.
Yes, and not only are we talking with someone who we're doing like a culinary dive in today, but our award-winning guest, Elle Jauffret,
Yeah.
is very much acclaimed in as a debut mystery author. Her very first mystery novel, The Threads of Deception, was, and Elle, remind me if I am incorrect with any of these, it was Agatha Award nominated for Best First Novel. It won the Pencraft Writing Award, and it also was a part of the Claymore, was it the Claymore Award for the manuscript pages? So we are, I mean, wow, what a way to start off your debut in the traditional mystery space. We're so excited to have you on the show. It's wonderful to see you again because we did get to meet at Malice Domestic earlier this year where you were being
Yep.
honored. And we get to talk about your Suddenly French mysteries, which, fun fact for our audience members, when I first was introduced to Elle's books, I was like, oh, Suddenly French, like, how is that going to work? And it works in the most interesting way that I've ever come across in a mystery novel. So, without further ado, Elle, welcome to the show.
And thank you for having me here.
We are very excited to talk about not only your writing career, but you are a criminal attorney. Former practicing criminal attorney, which is absolutely fascinating. I believe you were a part of the Attorney General's office for which state? If was it again?
California.
Wow.
California.
Okay. So yes, I mean, we've got a lot of ground to cover. So we
Yeah.
are excited to dive in. But in order to kind of get a little bit of your background for our viewers who may not be familiar with you and your work, can you take us on a little journey of what got you interested in writing? How did you transition from being a criminal attorney to being a mystery writer?
So hello everyone. Thank you for watching. I'm a French-born American attorney. So people always ask me the path between a lawyer and a writer, but as lawyers, we always write. So this is the same thing. Depending on which side you are, the prosecution or the defense, you have to create, based on facts and evidence, a story to be able to convince the judge or the jury. So writing for me has always been part of me as a lawyer, but also since I was very young, I love to create words and story and plots. So for me, it was natural. My husband was US Navy, so we moved around the country a lot. So I went to law school in George Washington University Law School in Washington, D.C. But moving around, I could not pass my bar every 2 to 3 years. And so when we settled in California, I passed my bar and I worked as a criminal attorney. And after he was sent away, so it's very hard to manage a career with kids. And so I stopped and I went to on my own. So I worked on my own and I started writing on the side. And now I'm putting my legal career aside slowly to be able to fully embrace my writing journey.
Oh, wow.
Well,
That's
that is
incredible.
fantastic. Yeah, and folks, I just want to say, because Elle, you probably don't know this, but back in the day, I used to work in the legal field, and I remember the attorneys talked often about the fact that the California bar is far and away the most difficult bar exam to pass. So, cheers to you for not only becoming a lawyer, but becoming a lawyer in the state where it's the most difficult. So, you deserve a round of congratulations for that, in addition to being a fabulous author. So good on you.
Thank you.
And we have just a couple of our wonderful viewers joining us in the chat now. We have Farmhouse Reader saying, Happy Wednesday to all. The Fashionable Bookworm says, Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. And so great to meet a new to me author. So, and that's a great way to kind of cue us up. Thank you, Fashionable Bookworm. As
Yeah.
we dive into our discussion about the Suddenly French Mystery Series. Now, Elle, tell us, how did you come up? Because reading your biography and seeing your legal background, to me, it makes a little bit of sense that you would write about a protagonist that is also a career attorney. But Claire Fontaine has a very explosive encounter at the beginning of her journey that leaves her with a condition that I just learned about, and it's this the foreign accent syndrome. Can you tell me, how did you construct Claire as a character? How did she come to you, and how did you decide to have her transition out of her career as an attorney to the world of being a private chef? Because those are two very different career paths.
So for the accent part, I wanted to write a book that addressed speech impediments, especially as a lawyer. Whenever you see a witness on the stand, and whenever someone has a speech impediment or an accent, there's always a certain bias. And even in a social setting, you can see, and even stereotyping on TV, people who stutter are seen like less credible or less intelligent. And I was always fascinated by that bias because I don't have that bias. And I try to understand why there is such a bias. So I wanted to give my character a speech impediment. And I don't stutter, I don't have anything. So I thought my accent would be perfect because I face the same challenges as well. And I thought it would be fun. So, and I wanted to also use my life with so many comical situations I encounter, I found myself in just because of my accent.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to share that with the world because it's quite a unique experience. And for the culinary part is I used to cook a lot. And in fact, most people, lawyers, when you have so many cases to work on, you have like a tunnel vision. And sometimes it can be so overwhelming. You need a craft, a hobby to take it, to break from the tension.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something so about cooking that is a need we need to eat. But when you cook, you create and you release attention. It's like a hobby. And my main character, so Claire, has no date. So trying to date in life, you can go to event for singles. So she attended many cooking classes for singles. So I thought it would be interesting. And because cooking is also about control, things you can control. So I thought it would be good because she's type A, but also is something everyone can relate to.
That is a
That is so
beautiful way to put it.
there's yeah, and there's so many interesting things there that I would love to deconstruct there. One of the things that you mentioned about Claire is that she's a type A person. Can you talk about that a little bit more? Because the reason I ask is we often think, especially in the cozy mystery world, like Sarah and I write in, that our amateur sleuths are kind of nice and they're warm and fuzzy. And I think a lot of us often would think of a type A type person as very hard, hard charging, very goal oriented, maybe even a little intimidating. So can you give us a little bit more, tell us a little bit more about Claire and, why you like her enough to have written at least 2 books about her?
And what happened is Claire was very type A driven. But what happened, she always worked as a defense attorney for the Innocence Project. So she has a higher goal of freeing the innocent. So there's always a lot of warmth in her for justice. And also, she survived an explosion that destroyed her law firm. So
Oh,
that, and she woke up with a French accent. So that kind of upset her world. And so she's refinding herself. So whenever people survive trauma, they need to give each other themselves a lot of compassion. So I wanted her to still be type A because she needs to find the truth no matter what, even if it can affect her. And even if it would be easier to let go, but I want her uptight side is her need to control not only her food, but control to be sure to find the truth. So her type A is that way. She's not controlling in any way. I mean, she's very driven and opinionated. And I think most women, we feel that way. And so, but I allow her to be truly herself, you know.
And I think that the concept of type A personality, I think, has definitely softened in recent years as I think the stigma around mental health has become more, at least like transparent and out in the world. So I love that you're kind of shining a light on all of these different avenues of how humans deal with the emotions and the issues that they're confronted with. I consider myself a type A person, and I think I would probably explode if I had somebody's like innocence on my shoulders. Like I don't know how people are strong enough to do that. So again, like huge commendation on folks that have chosen this career path to pursue justice. But it also it's a very relatable feeling of like, you know, wanting to be in control. And we have our chat farmhouse reader in the chat saying very interested about that connection between cooking and something that you're able to control. And so a lot of what Claire deals with, especially in the first book, is her life being turned upside down and having to not only deal with this new place that she is in, Caper Cove in California, but she also is kind of giving up her career. She's afraid for her life because the individuals that are responsible for the bombing of her firm building are still out there in the world. She's dealing with the FBI. She's dealing with all of these people. So take us into this kind of haven that she is welcomed into. She has made some very good friends, and we need to talk about Suggy, how Suggy came to be, but also she's thrust into the world of fashion because she's hired to be a chef for this fashion show that's filming in the area. So kind of tell us about how this creation of the world that Claire roots herself in came to be. How did you create this community, and what kind of inspiration did you draw on, maybe from your own experiences, or just how did Caper Cove come to be?
But in fact, Claire grew up in Caper Cove until when she was in middle school, when her sister disappeared and her mom took her back to the East Coast. So she had a connection to Caper Cove. Her dad is still there. Her best friend is still there. When she left, she returned for summers and she went with her best friend as college roommates. So she has her best friend there. Sugi is her best friend. He's her ride or die. And she is, if people ask me the comparison between them, for people who have watched the Gilmore Girls, Rory and Lane, this is them as they grew up. So they really get each other, they know each other. Sugi is more easygoing. And so when she returns to Caper Cove, she has her dad there and she has her best friend. And most people don't remember her because it's a bigger town. So that was what I wanted. I wanted my character to struggle with, and I wanted to address more serious topics, but I wanted the warmth of a small town like Cozy Mysteries or even like Gilmore Girl, their town. So I don't remember, Sleepy Hollow, Star Hollows.
Hmm.
So I wanted them, yeah, to have that. And is anyway, yes, that's it.
That's such a nice like having a little bit of a security blanket for her because she's dealing with a lot. So, and I know that we have with book one. She gets involved in her first mystery, but you have Cosplay to Death coming out in November 11th, which is right around the corner. So
Yes.
tell us, I guess, a little bit about the experience of writing book two in a series, because I imagine that it's vastly different than how book one went. We often talk with folks that, book one took them, 10 years to write, and then they get a contract for a 3-book series, and it's like, okay, well, now we need book two in a year. What was your I guess what was your experience in getting into the publishing industry, having to kind of follow up on Threads of Deception and figure out, okay, where is Claire going to go from here?
Um, Thread of Deception was my 12th novel, the 12th I've written, but
Oh,
my
wow.
first published. So when it was submitted, I had already outlined for number two and number three.
Oh,
So
okay,
I
nice.
was proposed from the get-go a 3-book deal.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew it was going to be a 3-book series, maybe more, but that was it. So what I did when I wrote the first one, I wanted to make sure there were threads open for number two and number three. So when we discover Claire in Thread of Deception, we don't, there are still, when people read the book, there are still questions about the explosion and
Mm-hmm.
about the sister's disappearance. So in number two, Cosplay to Death, we find out, I close the loop on the explosion, so we know that mystery is solved. And in number three, the sister's disappearance is closed as well. That thread is closed. So for me, from the get-go, I knew I was going to write 3 books. So I knew already each, more or less, the plot of each one and the subplots to close.
Nice.
So that's really interesting, because I think that's one of the things that we often don't give writers like yourself enough credit is for planning these multi-book story arcs, because that's very difficult to do because you have to weave that through the individual story. You don't want to play it up too much, but you don't want readers to forget about it either. So, I was wondering if you could talk about that a little bit about how are you a plotter, or do you just write more by the seat of your pants, or how did you, you mentioned having the outlines for all 3 books, but when you were doing that, how did you, what I guess what I'm not asking very well because I'm stumbling all over myself as I usually do. What's your writing process?
But the first one first, I knew what I wanted to write about. Most books I write, I have an idea, I think about it several days, maybe weeks, and after I sit at my desk and I write on the computer or by hand 20 pages of what it is about. I say, and then, and then, and then, and then, and then. And of course, but, and then, but, and I do that. And after those 20 pages, I take them and I section them into an outline to become chapters or scenes.
Wow.
So I can say I pens at first for 20 pages, and after I want to be more organized because you need to make sure you have the clues and the dialogues and all the information the readers can follow. So I do that way. For the number, I knew what I wanted to write. I knew book two will be about surfing and cosplay because I really is something those communities exist in San Diego. So I wanted people to discover communities they are not used to. And the third one is set in during Halloween. So I wanted to do a little bit like, ooh, like light. So I knew what it was going to be about. But because I signed a 3-book deal, I wanted it to be a theme. I'm sure everybody have seen the monkey,
Mm-hmm.
so my
Mhm.
books are like that. The first one was about how we sound. The second one is how we look or how we try to appear to the world. And the third one is about our past and the secrets we hold.
Wow.
I'm sorry, we hold. I need to drink. I'm not used to speaking so much. So yes, so when I outline or I write, I try to have a cohesive ensemble before starting.
I love that imagery of the monkeys and the way that you just presented like that, like I don't do that type of thinking in my storytelling. So to like hear the process that you go through to tell not only the story of the book but also this like cohesive theme that is running throughout the series is very, very fascinating. And I gotta tell you, I two things that I never would have paired together in our first conversation with the culinary world and the legal world, but now we're talking about surfing and cosplay, and these two, and thinking about especially the cosplay community. I am a big like anime manga fan, and so the fact that like there's so much cosplay that goes on in that world, and then to see it alongside surfing, it's just really fun, and this like the threads of pop culture that you're able to weave into Claire's story. So if you can maybe elaborate just a little bit more, Elle, on going. You finish book one. You've gotten so much praise for this wonderful, wonderful mystery that people are both like amazed by the like suspense and the legal like thrillerness of it, but also the delicious descriptions of food. Can you tell us a little bit more about how food works in your mysteries? Because that for me is like a huge comfort. Everybody loves food. So how did you decide to approach it? What were some of like your favorite scenes or dishes that you really loved kind of playing up to share with your audience?
For me, food is life. So whenever I invite someone in my house, it means if we break bread and we eat at the same table, it means I welcome you. I care about you for who you are. Authenticity is all about life. And and Sugi, she's Korean American.
Mm-hmm.
The detective is Mexican American, and the medical examiner is Indian American. So for me, they all represent my social circle. They are all based on friends of mine. And so I wanted food to reflect things like that. I read a lot of mysteries as well, and in many causes, you always see the muffins, the cookies, and I'm like, why? I want more. So I really wanted readers to discover food they might never heard of.
Mm-hmm.
So I love the fish shape delicacy that is kind of one of Claire's comfort food from Sugi's heritage. And I wanted to everybody to realize that I want people to be curious about food from around the world and not just the traditional one. And I want people to say, hey, my comfort food is, and to hear a word they never heard about, say, what is that? I want people to be curious. And it's why I'm working on the side on the cookbook that will be free on my website so they can have the recipes on the book easy, the easy one, easy to make. Because I really want people to realize our world is so much bigger than it is.
Mm-hmm.
People don't understand the world can be even bigger just through food, meeting people from different countries, speaking different languages. And for me, diversity is everything. It's like whenever you try a dish from another country or created by someone from another place than yours, it can be a different state.
Mm-hmm.
And like going to Louisiana with alligator, things like that. So the world is within your fingertip and your tongue. So it's amazing.
That
That
is.
is, wow, you just nailed it right there. The world is right there at your fingertips and your tongue. I love that, it doesn't get any better than that.
That deserves a shirt. Like
Yes.
a shirt slogan. Like that is perfect, but it's so true. I mean, we get to experience so many different things just through food, and I mean, we can see from the way that you talk about it, Elle, that it brings you such joy, and it sounds like your friend group is incredible. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
the
please
best.
invite us over sometimes because I mean, I love food and I love good food, and it's all. I mean, it's such a great way to connect. I feel like my characters, they tend to do their best thinking or their best sleuthing when they're sitting around the dinner table talking with each other and stuffing their faces with food. So it's such a way to connect us all, but also to educate us about what is out there. And speaking of out there, we're almost out of time right now.
Boo.
This has gone like so quickly.
Yeah.
And in order for our viewers to stay connected with you, Elle, where can they find you? Are you on social media? Do you have a newsletter? You mentioned something about you're working on a cookbook that you might be having on your website. Tell us a little bit about how to connect with you.
Website, ellejauffret.com, and on social media, at Elle Jauffret. On my website, you can link and subscribe to my newsletter. And yeah,
Perfect. Easy
And
peasy.
just to reiterate that folks, Cosplayed to Death is coming out really soon now. Elle, when is it officially publishing?
November 11.
Perfect.
Okay, so
So
folks, you
right.
know what to do. Hit that pre-order button right now.
And I bet, at least for those of us who I live in the Northeast, so come November 11th, I'm going to be wishing that I could be at a surfing competition, and even if there is a dead body there. um, Elle, this has been absolutely fabulous, so fascinating, and just, I mean, your joy that you bring to both your work and just like the way that you present it and talk about it is so infectious. So thank you for sharing your time with us here today. As we
Yes.
like to close out our shows, we would love to know, like, what are you reading? What are you watching? What is entertaining you these days? Any recommendations that you have for our audience members? It doesn't have to be in the realm of mystery. We're always looking for the next thing to add to our queues.
But right now it's October, so I read darker stuff.
Ooh,
I
nice.
love Grady Hendrix. It's called Witchcraft for Wayward Girls.
Ooh,
I love it. I love there's a feminist stance. I love it. It's really woman-centric. And I'm reading another book. It's a nonfiction called Sick Houses. Is the way houses were built, but there are something weird about them. I forgot the author. So those are my two recommendations that I'm really enjoying right now.
excellent.
Nice.
Any in
Yeah.
the October months, do you do any like scary movies, or are you, if you're reading like darker things, do you also like watch horror films? Because both JC and
Yes,
I love to do a little Spooktober here.
yeah, I try to watch a horror movie every night, but so far I only watched five.
That's
I'm
hey,
being
that
committed.
is
That's strong.
Yes, but I do everything like kids or not kids or darker. I don't do gore much, but it depends which ones.
mhm.
I like horror comedy and like Shaun of the Dead or I mean there's so many ones. I mean if people
Mhm.
want recommendation, they can contact me and I can send them a whole list.
Oh,
And
good.
but this year I'm more like sensitive, but yes, I love horror comedy.
Excellent. Oh yeah, there was
Yeah.
one. I think the last horror comedy that I watched, I can't remember the name. It was about werewolves, and I just know that it had um, the actor
With a
who
new cop
plays.
in town. Yes.
Yes, yes, and it was like taking place in Canada or something. It was sort of, it was
Yes, I
so funny.
remember. I
It
watched
was
it.
so great. Yeah, I we are doing horribly on trying to watch scary movies this year because we have watched so many, and we're always trying to find new ones, but we've gotten to like the B tiers, or sorry, probably like the D tiers at this point of like, ooh, this was not a well-made film, but it's still mildly entertaining. We have farmhouse readers saying that all of my Hulu suggestions are now Christmas movies now. So I was at Home Goods the other day and they already had the Christmas stuff out. And it's like, we haven't even got past Halloween yet. JC, are you anything new to share with our audience about what are you reading, listening to, watching, consuming, being entertained by?
Yes. Yeah. So as far as B Halloween movies, which is totally my bread and butter, just watched Vincent Price classic House of Wax over the weekend.
Oh, good one.
So 1963. It's also funny they filmed it in 3D. So seeing, a movie that, okay, that's obviously the 3D part right there. And anyway, it was great. Classic Vincent Price, kind of campy, kind of spooky. So that was a lot of fun. And also this past weekend, I went to see a community theater production of Something Rotten, an absolutely laugh out loud, hysterical, fun musical. So, again, this is the perfect time for me to do my periodic shout out. Support community theater, go see a musical. You'll have a great time. Most of them are going to give you the happy ending that we all want. So, that's what I got. How about you, Sarah?
Well, I just want to say how much I love Something Rotten. I don't think I've ever laughed so much during a musical. And there's one line, I forget what the like specifics of it, but it makes fun of cats. And
Yes.
there's a running joke in my family about the musical Cats. And it just like I was like almost out of my chair laughing so hard.
Yeah.
Um, for entertainment, so listened to a true crime podcast. What do you know? It's called. It was the season. I believe it was season 6 of Somebody Knows Something, which is done by the Canadian Broadcasting Company. This one, George and I listened to straight through because we were stuck in rush hour New York traffic on a Friday night for 4 hours trying to
Nice.
get out of this state. And so we listened to the whole podcast, and it was really fascinating about how this documentarian, David Riggin, he gets in contact with usually it's family members who are trying to bring attention or solve their loved one's case. And the way that he produces those each of these seasons is really beautiful. He's like such a wonderful interviewer and so respectful of the people that he's dealing with. I really just love listening to him. And I think he has 9 seasons out of the podcast, so any one of them is a winner. But we listened to season 6 most recently. And then for any anime fans out there, we recently just devoured the entire second season of Solo Leveling, which is I believe it was a oh gosh, I think it's called manhwa, which is Korean manga. It's like now like taking over in popularity of manga. And it's such a well done, like fun action show. We watched like 4 episodes a night. We were so enthralled by it. And now I'm trying to get my hands on the book series so that I can keep reading, because I found out that it's not coming back until like 2028, which is way too long for me to hang in there. So that's what's on my list at the moment. We have Fashionable Bookworm chiming in with some favorite horror comedies. Which are Transylvania 6500 and Young Frankenstein, and also the Disney Halloween Town movies. I haven't seen the Halloween Town movies. I need to check those out. That sounds like it would be really fun. But as always, our time together flies by. This was absolutely fabulous, Elle. Thank you so much for being here today and chatting about the Suddenly French mysteries. And hopefully, folks watching now, you know why they're called Suddenly French, with our protagonist Claire Fontaine and the new world that she finds herself in. So we are very much looking forward to Cosplay to Death releasing on November 11th. And if I was doing my homework correctly, Elle, book 3 in the series will be out next November. So you know who
Yes.
to contact when you're ready to talk about it. We would love to catch up with you and see how Claire is doing. But until then, we thank our live audience members for joining us here and your wonderful comments as always. For folks watching after the fact, if you have any questions or comments for us, feel free to add them to the video. We always check to see what's happening here in the comments. We will be back tomorrow tomorrow with another episode with our dear friend of the show, Nan Reinhardt. We're talking her very first cowboy romance. So we're leaving River's Edge and heading to Montana, which will be very exciting. So we hope that we will see you then at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But until then, stay bookish, everybody. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye.